Hello, welcome to Toffee TV, joined by John Blain. Obviously, Ped is there drinking his coffee with his shorts on, enjoying the summer.
It's warm in here.
It is warm. It is warm in here. It is.
You've got scaly hands, John.
Workers' hands.
We're having a little break from Club Call.
You got
Basically
legs.
because 2 weeks ago we didn't hardly get any calls, so we're having a break. And
No one's going to ring up and you're not going to play, are you?
well, that's the thing. This is the thing, and obviously nothing's happening anyway, so there you go. So we're going to have a chat about Everton's summer so far. Obviously the season finished with a tremendous strike from Abdoulaye Doucouré. We stayed up and all of that. There was none of the euphoria, I don't think, of what had gone on a year before. Subsequently, we've seen the board be changed
Mostly.
on an interim basis. That's what we're led to believe. And obviously we've seen players leaving the football club, but no one coming into the football club as yet. We're awaiting the first signing, so we're awaiting an announcement, which could happen while we are live here. Who knows? But I thought we'd have a little chat about what's going on so far, what's been going on, and what we're hoping will happen as we go through the next. Well, it's a calendar month, isn't it, till the Premier League season starts today. Fulham on the 12th of August at Goodison Park. There has also been 4 fixture changes as well already with TV, which is what happens. So, I mean, Ped, let's start with you. Let's come to you first.
I'm ready.
You are ready and waiting.
He's laid back then.
How are you? I mean, how are
He's
you
doing the laid
finding
back
it?
thing.
He is chilled. Yeah. How are you finding it so far with what's gone on? Obviously, we've had board changes. Like I said, MSP stuff seems to gonna be towards the end of this summer transfer window before it's done. How are you finding it?
It's a bit of a non-event so far, isn't it? Damn squid. So far, isn't it? It's waiting for that first signing. It'll be Ashley Young. We all know that, which is a bit for a lot of people is very
Underwhelming.
It is underwhelming. Although I don't think it's a particularly bad signing. I must admit, I'm not screaming from the rooftops that it's a bad signing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a great signing in context of where the football club is. But if your football club is there, then you've got what can you say? And in fact, I think Ashley Young will be our starting left back when the season. I really do. Yeah. I really do. The off the pitch stuff is massively annoying to me. The fact, and I know things can't go quicker, blah, blah, it doesn't mean I'm not annoyed by it. The same way I'm massively annoyed that the stadium is apparently going to be not next summer, the summer after. It's still massively annoying to me. You know what I mean? If things go their way or don't go our way, I mean, patience, isn't it? But when you see other clubs doing things, and when you see teams like Villa are one, aren't they? You look at Villa and go, 12 months ago, they were very much like us. And don't get me wrong, they did have much better players than us.
Yeah.
They had a crap manager.
But now everything just seems to get exciting players in. They're bringing players in early. Everything they're in Europe. Everything just feels like it's been accelerated. And we're in exactly the same place that we were 12 months ago. And it's little things like that. Like, a Luton fan told me yesterday he thought he was going to finish above me, and which prompted me to say, you're going to finish with the lowest points tally ever, mate, so shut up. I shouldn't have really said that. I shouldn't have really bit, but I just thought...
I know you've repeated it.
I know, but it doesn't really matter, does it? Because I just thought a Luton fan thinks that they can finish above us.
Oh, come on, you've got to be optimistic. That's what you said.
I know, but I just thought...
This stage,
I just thought to myself... Like, that's how far we've fallen. So I would have liked to have had a little bit of something to be excited about by now, and there's very little. So, and I can understand why that dampens the mood massively, because it does, doesn't it? We're not just we're not just going through the motions. It feels like we're working really, really hard to go through the motions. So. Yeah, it's been rubbish so far, to be honest.
I think like a couple of things in there. Obviously, John, you might be able to tell us better on the MSP stuff, but the stadium thing, I know Everton have have said that and have put out that there might be consultation. They'll have to decide when they move into the stadium. I don't see that personally. I think if MSP do put 2 people on the board, that's what we're led to believe. I think if either of them have got any ounce of sense, that'll be, yeah, we're getting in that stadium the minute it's ready to go. I don't think Everton. I think we had Steve Carlisle in the studio last week.
And Baz.
And Baz doing, does the drone videos, but
They're
Steve
going to come back as well, aren't they?
has worked.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Steve has worked in the industry, the building industry, and he was talking about just simple projections of 800, 900 grand a game. Everton can't leave £8-9 million on the table, and that's a player to us.
I don't think it's that though. I think it's the fact that they've actually come out and said it. It's not a case of what they will do. It's the fact that they have come out and said something like that. I think that just, it's not learning from you. I know we want them to communicate, but it's also what you communicate, isn't it? And for the fella who's in charge, who's now CEO, to come out and say, well, we're going to talk to the fans on this, and it's going to be late 2024, and we're not going to be in the, and then people have had conversations, and it could be the start of 2025 season. It's just those narratives. It's like, well, at this stage, yeah, why aren't you being patient enough to say, actually, we'll talk more about this when it's not an interim board and we do have everyone in place. It's sending those things out again to people where, for me, on the stadium, there shouldn't be, and people might argue with me, there shouldn't be a debate amongst the fans. They shouldn't have been given an opportunity to have a debate on whether we stay or go, because of course there's an emotional pull to it all, and we don't know all the details either. No. People I've spoke to about this are saying, well, there might be the reasons why Everton might have to stay is because of contracts that get, and listen, I don't know all this stuff, but I also take it all with a pinch of salt, because I've got enough nous to know that the only thing that really matters is the money.
Yeah, of course.
And if the money's worth more at one place than it is at other, then you don't stay, do you? Yeah. It's like owning 2 houses and paying rent on one and not living there. So what's the point? Yeah. So there's that as well. It's not communicating properly. There's always this thing of Everton and communicate, whatever. It's communicating properly. It's keeping people calm. It's saying the right things. It's saying, well, the stadium, if everything goes well, will be open by this date. But the caveat is, if it doesn't go well, then it'll be open on this date.
But isn't that just because they're absolutely terrified?
But it is.
If they say the stadium will be December 24, the stadium will be ready for us to move in, and then things go wrong and it's February, they're terrified.
But this is why I don't mind, but I don't mind them saying this clearly isn't going to be the last season at Goodison. I understand all that kind of thing of like having a kit and all that kind of thing, and preparing yourself for the last game. And I understand all that side of thing, but yeah, just say to people, we're hoping to be in by this date or whatever. I don't understand. I just don't get the other stuff, because John will tell you it's just money. And when people are moaning every summer, when people are moaning right now that we haven't got the money to buy or pay for someone's wages, like Rodrigo or whoever, or wouldn't pay his wages anyway, well then you've got to look at the other side and say, let's make some money then.
Absolutely. John, just before this, we'll go back onto the stadium thing, but MSP, a lot of people frustrated at the moment that it's seemingly taking a long time to get this over the line, if you will. There's some stuff clearly being put to some journalists that Everton expected to be done later in the transfer window, i.e. another 4 or 5 weeks before this is done. Just from...
Is that new news, is it? Or what was said a number of weeks ago?
Well, this is what was said a few weeks ago, and obviously... So why would it take that long? Because Mike was in the studio yesterday and he was having a down day. And I'm trying to discuss things, and he just couldn't get his head around it, speed the process up and all that. Is it, in your experience of these kind of things, is there a way of speeding it up, or is it just the legal stuff takes that long and that's how long it takes?
We have to go through this again.
Well, come on, tell me. Tell me.
I really don't know.
Yeah, it's the answer.
Yeah, I mean, and nobody does know, and I think we did it at the 1 o'clock live show before I had to go and come back again. But all roads ultimately lead to the same place, which is we're not controlling the narrative on anything. We're not pre-positioning the most important stakeholders, which is the fan base, to what's happening. And you just said it, and you say it to a degree, many times, of that the club has got itself into a space whereby it's so concerned about getting something wrong. It gets it wrong by just getting its mouth shut. And that becomes a classic, we're damned if we do and we're damned if we don't. And therefore part of a narrative, and let's just pretend it's people who are no longer in the business, right? So we're not slagging off who's there now. Is they almost concluded, listen, we're going to get kicked if we say something, and we're going to get kicked if we say nothing, so let's say nothing.
Right, okay. Right?
Because, if you do behavioural stuff, and I know I nearly got into that, behavioural science stuff at 1 o'clock, but if you do the interrelationships between people, and we all go in meetings for various reasons, but imagine you're in a business meeting. There's always one or two people who just sit there and never say anything, right? And they can actually seem to be, to most people, the wise ones. Because the gobby ones, which is normally people like me, right, then I might say 9 good things and 1 shit one. And if only people remember the shit one, I'm history, aren't I, right? The person who doesn't say anything can't get anything wrong. You can't get it wrong. So it's like the footballing analogy would be, we don't concede a goal, worst that happens is we draw. But it's boring if you then have 38 0-0 draws, right? But, you'll probably stay up with that, wouldn't you, right? So as far as the MSP thing, I just think because of the lack of engagement and the lack of satisfying, to some degree, the needs of a quite vibrant and socially aware, as far as platforms are concerned, fan base about what's going on. If the football club had said ages ago, when it became apparent, because someone leaked or whatever, about heads of terms and things like that, listen guys, it's happening, we're expecting it to be with these, obviously between cup and lip there can be a slip sometimes, but all going well, this should be sorted before the end of the year. No one would be asking anything right now because the target was the end of the year, right? The problem is, if you play that game of under promise and over deliver, you have to explain why you're so early. And the same applies to the stadium. There's a segue there, stadium. If you under promise and over deliver, that's fine, because obviously you haven't set expectation too high. And I don't know where people have got their expectations from around how long this should take with MSP and that sort of thing. Simply because most people have never been involved in such a process. The football club hasn't said anything. So where you're getting it from, that it needs to be hurried up. Blunt answer to the blunt question is, maybe I asked the question and then answer it myself, could it have been done quicker if they wanted it to be done quicker? I think so, yes. So then you're into, well, why not? And maybe the simple answer to why not is because there's no rush. And why is there no rush? Because the money isn't needed right now. The thing that focuses attention is deadlines. So let's just pretend that for the next payment to Lang O'Rourke, we needed the MSP money. And if that next payment was tomorrow, it would have been done by now. So we must think we're okay. We know the logistical stuff through the Security Commission and stuff like that is happening. We know there's 13 people in aggregate and put together basically 131 million quid. So give or take, it's about 10 mil each. We know therefore that MSP have got the money, and we know therefore that they're it's still playing out. Security Commission could have been something as simple as raising the ante of the negotiation, because we believe, again, all hearsay from third parties, that Farhad's a bit of a difficult guy to negotiate with. And again, I keep saying when we're talking about it, I put myself in MSP's spot and I put them in Farhad. So in MSP's spot, I want to hurry him up, because the longer this is hanging around, the more potential there is for someone to come along and say, you know what, we'll give you the 131 million, but we only want 10%. Or we only want 15, or we only want whatever's less than MSP. Or whatever. Now clearly, the who blinks first bit from Farhad's side is, if this is money that's needed to give to Lang O'Rourke, the closer you get to it, it then flips. MSP get the potential to say, hang on, we've changed our mind actually. Now it's, 131 million for 30%,
Yeah.
because you've got nowhere to go in. And you know what I mean? So that's the art of negotiation. Neither party's saying anything, so everything else is guesswork. And if it perhaps the way I should say it, if it needs it to be done by now, it would have been done by now. Therefore, it's not needed. Now, if we then want to start playing guessing games, we can conclude, despite the nice warm feelings people gave about maybe not all the money's needed for the stadium, some might go to transfer, those things you might want to do as a soft landing to make people feel better. Then if there's apparently no need to get it done tomorrow, then suggests that the money's not getting spent on transfers, doesn't it? You know what I mean? So, but we shouldn't have to do all that guessing and second guessing and so on. And the club must know, because it's been so piss poor at it under the old leadership of silent running routine, you know, up until the board left, or most of them left, that there's a reset opportunity there to just start behaving ever so slightly differently. And of course, pretty much the only engagements that we've had of realness, if you like, two levels of the same thing. One was the announcement of the departure of the board and call sort of the appointment of the interim being the same thing, and then a statement from the chief exec, which stated, apart from the fact the whole construct was a bit contradictory, right? But it made it very clear we will not be in for the start of season 24-25. It says that, and yet this man, probably you admit you're not a stadium expert,
No,
right? Says, why would, sorry, I'm putting words in his mouth now. Why would you say that when you don't have to? We know they're ahead of schedule. Everybody knows, right? The guy who's been quoted, doesn't mean he wrote it, but the guy who's been quoted, the chief exec, he knows they are weeks upon weeks ahead of schedule, and that those weeks ahead of schedule are quite close to the start of next season. Yeah. And therefore you have another good winter this year, then maybe you bring it even closer, and lo and behold, you can get in for the start of the season. But it's been nailed, hasn't it, by the chief exec, interim or not, saying we will not be in for the start of 24-25. To my mind, does that mean we've got our foot to the pedal, right, trying to get it done before the end of 24? Or have we effectively just told everyone, actually, lads, you don't have to try for August, because we've already told them it ain't going to be August?
Well, the contract with
allegedly
is till the end, is till December 2025.
Yeah, allegedly.
Or 24, sorry.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they're going, well, that's when we sign till, so that's when we give ourselves till, instead of...
Absolutely right, and I have no issue with that.
No,
And the curiosity is that up until this statement from the new chief exec, the club had always held quite solidly to, you know, the consistent timescales about sort of when, i.e. during season 24-25, right? And yet the mere fact that whoever wrote that thing had to reassert more than once in the statement that we've never said anything other than this, and then proceed to say something different. Yeah, and I really don't know why, because, you know, some things leak out and they become truisms whether they are or they're not, but most of us, like you and I do, because people have said it, that Langer tasked with delivering it by the December 24. Therefore, just say that's it. Still 24-25 season. I don't know why they've chosen to be explicit and say it won't be for the start.
or chosen now.
Well, yeah.
Instead of saying that all along and correcting people, because they went for a good year without correcting anybody. They knew what was going. They're not stupid. They know what goes on. You have people who obviously monitor trends on social media. They know what goes on out there.
Here's a question for you then.
Go on.
When if I say to you, it won't be ready for the start of season 24-25, right? What does that mean?
Absolutely nothing. Really, the first day
of the season.
Yeah.
Okay. If I said to you, our first home game of the season won't be at the Everton Stadium, what does that mean?
Could be playing away.
No, our first home game won't be at the Everton Stadium.
Means nothing. Could be playing Goodison for the first 3 games. 4 games.
Right, well, the second one clearly says if it's not at the Everton Stadium, it's a different stadium. Well, actually, as it happens, we've got one called Goodison. Therefore, we wouldn't start the season in the new stadium, right? But the statement as it stands now just says it won't be ready for the start of season 24-25. Doesn't say our first game won't be in it. See how you can just go full on conspiracy. You can twist everything, right? Which is why the football club thinks, oh, let's not say anything because it'll all get twisted.
Well, the later months of 2024 doesn't mean it's December.
No,
I know that's right. That's the.
Well, that's what Steve said when he was saying.
I know that is like the month that a lot of people are going with, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. There's enough wiggle room within the statements, but also that then becomes out as like, to me, as nonsense then, because I'd rather Everton go if everything goes to plan, we're going to be in on this date. But if everything doesn't go to plan, then we won't be in on that date. And I know people go, well, that's basically the same thing. But why not give us a best case scenario? Why does it always have to be worst case?
Well, depends whether you think it's worst case or not. I mean, the statement from the chief exec has give you something definitive, which is what you say you want. It won't be for the start of season 24-25. But by the same token, because you started it, saying he didn't have to say that, he also doesn't have to give you a best case either.
No.
Just stick to what you've been saying all along. Yeah. We'll all be frustrated, but at least it's consistent, right? Yeah. And then you're into the realms of how close to the plan that went in the planning application is the current plan. Because Steve would insist, and I would agree with him, that the December thing is with all your tests done and everything. In other words, it's ready to host a Premier League game. And if we're 3 months ahead right now, let's be honest, that's what people think we are, then it's not December, is it? It's September. You only have 2 home games in August. We'll start with 4 away games. The first game of the season is not in the new Everton Stadium because the first 4 are away. And you see how we can just talk till the cows come home with different scenarios.
Because and I appreciate that's the issue they've got to come up with.
I understand it from their situation, but I don't know why they chose to say it won't be for the start of 24-25. Unless, of course, they do know something that none of us do know.
Gary says hello. Rich Bond says benefits of working at home today. 2 shows. Toffee TV's like group therapy. Cheers to you all for back in the job.
Isn't this the 3rd one? Did he miss one?
Only 2 live shows. The other one hasn't out yet. Paul Cattle says afternoon. Oh yeah, he
how come the other one not be out if it was live?
No, empty. He missed empty.
Yeah, 1 o'clock, 2
more than a game. Yeah. Where were you for the more than a game one, Rich?
Come on, Rich.
Shame on you. Paul Catzel says, afternoon, lads and fellow Blues. Summer's a slow one so far. Hopefully it starts picking up soon. Get Young over the line, and then hopefully they've been working on 2 or 3 on the quiet.
I think Ashley said it's done, hasn't he?
He's basically put it out that it's all done, thanks for the superb content you constantly put out even when there's no news. Jack's been a great addition to the team. Really enjoyed the randomness of the shows. Keep up the good work. Cheers, Paul.
That bullshit.
That's him and Jack together.
That's Penguins taking over Australia.
Kind of thing.
Conversation we had.
Martin says, Baz, you've changed my mindset. As you say, same people still at the club. Nothing will change this summer. Recruitment and transfers be minimal, so get behind the team even if it's another season on Mopay. Until we have new investment and new board, nothing changes. I still think we'll bring half a dozen in, mate. I do. However that
we looks. Have a new board, by the way. So.
However that
already.
Do we though?
Yes.
However that looks,
it's different to the other ones, so it must be new.
Everton Viking says might release the Thelwell and Young video by January if we're lucky. Thanks for the content. Steve says, do you reckon we'll ever sign a right winger? Remember Marcel Brands had it on the board as a position we need and we still haven't signed one. That was 4 years ago.
Actually, I'll have the slides somewhere for that.
We're all so obsessed with left wing. We do seem to be obsessed with left wingers, don't we? We don't, we've needed a right winger for a number of years. The director of football did say it on his when we were
Sorry, what's a right winger? AGM. A man who crosses the ball with his right foot.
Basically a fella who plays on the right, John.
Yeah, but crosses the ball with his right foot.
Or cuts in and has shots with his
That's
left.
The query. What's the right one?
But we've never bought one that predominantly plays on the right. We've bought players who play on the left and switched them to the right.
Yeah.
So Wobie plays on the right, on the left. McNeil plays on the left. Damari Gray plays on the left. There's 3 straight off.
Yeah.
We've never, Bernard, another one. We've never actually gone and got. Walcott was probably the last one, wasn't he? And that was 2019, the January.
Just the 4 years.
Oh, sorry, 2018, January.
Just the 5 years.
Yeah.
Sam Allardyce should manage one.
God, don't. Ian says, random question for you all. The stadium one. Who will own the stadium once it's built? I know Everton Stadium Development Limited are the subsidiary of AFC that'll own it. Does that mean we are the owners by association and that we'll just have to pay off the loans for it in years to come? So essentially TV income, commercial income, etc. going forward would pay for it. So when the stadium's built, do Everton Football Club own it?
Yeah.
And do we just pay the mortgage back over 30 years?
Or whatever. Well, that's
whatever the terms are.
that's going to be structured, isn't it? And it's not been done yet, that.
Right.
If you think about it right now, the funding so far has all been out of Mashiri's pocket, or indeed the club's pocket.
Club's pocket.
Yeah. And then the borrowing money, right? And the money being borrowed from MSP. One assumes that money is going to be borrowed by the football club. But in theory, it could be by the stadium development company, with the repayments being underwritten by the parent, which is the football club. So yeah, ultimately it's the football club stadium. I think that the flexibility that having it in a subsidiary would be, i.e. stadium development company, or renaming it stadium operations company, whatever you like, yeah, is that you could sell shares in that business then.
Okay.
You know, so you could say, well, we'll put the debt structure you could do. This is simplistic, people, so don't come and tell me how, you know, the way it is right now, that wouldn't work. But simplistically, you could say, well, the stadium itself is owned by the stadium, whatever, company.
Yeah.
That business is controlled by the football club,
Right.
which would allow you to sell shares in it if you wanted to.
Okay.
Yeah, say 49% shares or whatever,
Yeah.
right? And then the football club pays rent to the stadium development company.
Okay.
But then you'd say, well, has the stadium development company got enough income to pay actually the core loan off, right? But if it's warranted and the like by its parent, yes, it could. But there's an opportunity there to try and get external funds.
Nice.
But I think it'll be dead simple to start with. Club owns it, club pays for it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Everton
It helps FFP and stuff.
Everton Viking says, don't think it's negative to say there's nothing to be positive about, because there genuinely isn't. There's no bright spark coming through. Our team is very good. Our first signing's a 38-year-old who may be a decent addition. Sends a bad message after selling younger players. Stadium's lovely and all that, but it matters what league we're actually in. And to be honest, I'm tired of hearing about the stadium while our team on the pitch is being on the brink of relegation for 2 years in a row. I do agree with Baz, we will sign players, but if money is as tight as people seem to think, and we're still shopping in this Premier League proven market, the players we do end up with aren't going to be the ones who improve us massively because of the finances. Even the MSP stuff will seemingly come too late to make a difference on what we do this summer. So it's the same status quo, doing the same type of business that got us in this mess. I really want to be excited, but the club aren't doing anything to give me that faith. I want us to bring in players that are better than what we have. I want to see goals. We can't afford to wait around. The players need to be brought in now, not later. Ped, respond.
Is that him or you? The last bit. Ped, respond.
That's no me saying Ped, respond. That's me.
No, it's crap, innit? I mean, there's nothing to be like really optimistic about. There's only the constant of last season and the season before. It's our new reality as we stand. The stadium, I disagree on the stadium, because honest to God, without the stadium, I think I'd be down a well. Honestly, it's the thing that keeps me going, the idea that in a couple of years' time, or in 18 months' time, or in a year's time, there'll be something different about our football club, something fresh,
attractive,
a different identity, somewhere different to go on match days. I've said numerous times, and I know people will disagree, I am bored of Goodison Park. To me, it offers very, very little, apart from maybe 5-6 occasions a season. It offers nothing. It's a humdrum place to go and watch football. There's nothing before the game, there's nothing after the game. It's just somewhere you go, and to me anyway, somewhere you go most of the year, where you have your little bit at the beginning of the season and your little bit at the end of the season, and maybe around Christmas. But apart from that, it's just a humdrum place, and I can't wait for a new era. And that is the thing that keeps me going. I actually said this to someone last week at the club. I said, if you delay this even like longer, or you say it's going to be another season, I said, you're going to you're going to push a lot of Evertonians who've been like, that's the carrot. That's what's getting us through these really tough times. A lot of people say, there'll be a lot of Blues out there, I think, who say, I'm prepared to live with this little bit of austerity.
Yeah.
Not a little bit of austerity. I'm prepared because I know there's the lucky charms at the end of the rainbow, isn't there?
Yeah.
If you push that away again, then it just makes it so soulless because there's nothing exciting. We've said loads of times, kids with the kits having that number to put on the back of the shirt, someone to be excited about, someone to go, oh, I want to have He's amazing. No disrespect, but the idea for me of any kid wanting a Dwight McNeil shirt is just honest to God, it's the dark times, and we have to just get through this. We have to get. It's not exciting. It's not sexy. It is Dwight McNeil. It is.
He was good though.
Whatever. I still don't think
Damari Gray.
Sound. I still don't think
I
still don't think he's who Everton should have as a pin-up. Or I just don't. So you've got him and you've got Dyche and then you've got him linked with Weghorst. Yeah, thanks. We just have to get through this period of the next 18 months or the next year. And yeah, it's crap and we're all getting older. And yeah, we're all, but it is, it's soulless at times. It's soulless. But what I do know is a lot of other football clubs their fans feel a little bit like this as well. There's a lot.
Don't have a stadium coming.
Speaking yesterday, I was speaking to a Palace fan, and he was just like, Roy Hodgson. We're supposed to be building a new stand, and we can't get planning permission, and it's not even the stand we need. We need the other one knocked down where the away fans are. So there are a lot of other fans who feel similar, that there is nothing fresh. So let's not take the one good thing we have got coming our way and go, oh, it doesn't really matter. It does matter. This can give us that bit of a lift. But on the other side, like we've just been talking about for half an hour, I was like, don't sell that short. The football club shouldn't sell that short.
Should be building excitement about it.
Yeah, but
it's a when not if
people
thing.
won't feel excited.
No, they won't, and I don't at times. But it is that thing that keeps.
I get a letter in the next week saying, where do you want to sit? I'll be more excited than if I don't get one.
Yeah, but that's for you. For me personally, I'm not excited at all by it. I seen it last week, bits of it. It was fantastic. Looks fabulous. Looks amazing. Not interested. Me personally, I'm not interested. I'm more interested in a centre forward and a winger and a midfield player.
But it's not binary though.
No, it is for me at the moment because my football. It's great to go. That's all there. It's brilliant. We'll get relegated if we don't address what we need. And then who cares? Who cares if we're playing bleeding Charlton in there? No one's gonna care because I give them the pass. They had the pass to start the last summer, right? When they could have spun in a tailspin to get into that relegation battle, and we stayed up with Frank Lampard because they kind of done what Leicester have done, and Leicester didn't get out of it. Whereas, well, we're all right, and then we're too good. We'll get out of it, and then all of a sudden we can't get out. We know we're digging them. We escaped. They didn't this year, but we've had this year as well and done exactly the same. So we've had last summer, when we all knew we needed goals. We said it in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Having watched that game, we went,
what date was that?
oh my God. It was around now, wasn't it? It was like the 20th of July.
A year and a week.
Right?
Yeah.
And we said, since the 20th of July, and we sat there that night and went, we need players and we need goals in this team or we're in trouble. And that was when we had Dom.
No.
And then we went the January window with no striker and we hang up the last day of the season.
Yeah.
So this summer, we do have to address things. We do have to bring goals into this side because people will. Evertonians, I think, with all the interaction we have and interaction you have on social media and stuff like that, right? I think personally, Evertonians want something to cling on to. We want something to get behind. And we will, if we bring players into this squad and we bring players and you look and go, they can get us goals. People start feeling happier about the position we're in, and then the ground becomes that excitement again because we've got a team that we know isn't going to put us in trouble this season. It's going to fight for everything, and then that ground becomes sexier because you go and you know what, we'll be in the Premier League.
Like John said, the two things are not binary. The one thing your football club's got to do, right, it's got to generate hope because hope's the only thing that keeps you going as a football fan. It has to generate that. there's nothing else. Like when you look at what's going on in football, when you see talk of a Super League or the expanded Champions League or what's going on in Saudi Arabia or whatever, as a football fan, the only thing that keeps you is something which isn't real, and that's hope. But you have to generate hope. You have to. Or the other thing you have to do is love your football club so much that you are prepared to look past those things. And the only way you're going to love your football club is if they do all the little things right. We talk about this all the time. Making sure the kit launch is spot on, making sure they're being open and the dialogue's clear, and they're giving you the interviews with the manager and Thelwell and players, and they're creating that good feeling where it's like, I understand why it's not good time for the club, but they understand us and they create that. Like I seen Billy the Bee yesterday, I've said to all the lads, I said, this is the happiest man in football. Supports Brentford and everything is just amazing. He talks about players, teams staying up in the Premier League that's a boss nightclub, so I didn't want night out. So I didn't want Everton to go down because that's a boss place to go for a weekend. Like everything's just happy for them. Like if they've created, I know it's took them years and years and years to get there.
He'd be like that if you're an Everton fan. He's a lovely.
No, he's just a boss fella. But what he's done is he has seen all the crap, and now in the Premier League he's having a good time and he's enjoying it. And it's like, but their football club's bossed out. Like everything's brilliant about them. The way they talk to the fans, everything's brilliant. Our club, everything just seems to be crap. So if you don't start generating hope amongst your fan base, which basically means talking to them, not leading them down one path and then going down another one, it's like...
And I bet you there's loads of good stuff goes on in that. Like there's good people at the club who were stopped from doing their job. There's good things that you could get behind, but it's the overall message.
What they did for years is they tried to create that by giving us the Everton in the community spiel. That's what they tried to do. And as amazing as those people are, those people were, that's not enough to satisfy a football fan. That only takes you so far, doesn't it? And I suppose that's where the ground is a little bit for me. It's like that's the hope. Because without the hope, what's the point? It's not an even pitch. It's everything is now all over the place. Clubs have got mysterious backers that may or may not be related to huge countries with huge amounts of money. There's a lot going on that we can't control and we will feel cheated by. But if our football club just simply loved us, like we loved them, and there wasn't infighting and there wasn't accusations and people could get on, then everything and there was a time when I felt like this, we were like this. And by the way, Bill Kenwright was on the board when I felt, was the chairman, when I felt like that. So it's not like it can't happen. It just has to be, that it's us versus the world mentality. That's what we've got to create as a football club. And unfortunately, what our football club has created is, it's us versus our own fans. So get us that back. We know we're not going to win loads of trophies. We know we are, as a football club, we are now almost dinosaurs in a world where, there's AI. But give us that hope back that it's us versus you now.
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. There has to be that reset, and you hope that. And I know, John, you do find it amusing, but the hope that MSP coming in with just different eyes might kick off a chain reaction in the club. For me, that's what I'm hoping, that people look at it with different eyes and go, we need to do things differently, and it's someone fresh. That's what I hope. I might be absolutely massively wrong here. I might be talking about something that never happens, but that's the hope that keeps me going. But while I'm waiting for all that, I am constantly looking at our playing squad. I'm looking at something that's on fire and no one's putting it out. And I get deals are complex. We've had a position today with Rodrigo where Everton offered him a contract. He seemed quite happy. He seemed like he wanted to sign. Then other clubs come into the mix, and obviously Al Ryan have come in with a huge offer for him of over 200 odd grand a week. Everton are never paying that for a 32-year-old, never in a million years. So he's gone off there. So we have to then move on to the next one, and we have to have players crossing the line very quickly, in my opinion, getting them over the line. Ashley Young said it all day yesterday. A lot of people aren't happy with it, but if he was number 3, 4, 5 signing of the summer, and we had attacking players in, people would find it far more palatable. People are looking at it and are worried right now. So that's where I am with it, and we do have to look for some hope. Charles says Everton have just wiped everyone out. Feels like nothing is happening. Just links, interest, and so forth. Young hasn't even been announced yet. Problems with Everton TV again. Big changes made. And that, you see, John, you said it lots of times. We've all kind of said it on more than one occasion. Is that, and it is about narrative, and narrative is quite difficult because sometimes saying nothing is the best course, but then there's a lot of other times when you do have to front it up and treat us as adults almost. But again, the communication isn't brilliant, is it? From a fan perspective, looking at it, you know, I know they can't say everything, and Kevin Fowler's not going to stand there and go, the list of 8 players that we want, it's never going to happen, is it? What can we do to bridge that? How do you say stuff without compromising what you're doing? How would you say it without compromising what we're trying to do?
You can't. Well, I can't anyway. I can't answer that apparently simple question without talking for the next 3 hours, right?
Okay, well, try to
No, you can't distill it because, you know...
we're not on for 3 hours, exactly, so you might have a bloody...
So the point is,
issue.
It's not just, you just do this and everything's great, right? Yeah. I mean, the cliche-driven is, if I was going there, which is an engaged fan base who are trusting in the football club and so on, doesn't mean they like everything they hear, but they trust that what they've been told is the truth, for example. And that then allows you to build rapport and build upon it and so on, right? Yeah. Then, in very simple terms, that would say, well, if that place is over there, I wouldn't be starting from here. Right?
Yeah.
So the football club has got itself into a position where internally it must know it needs to do better, and either knows how to do better or doesn't. If it doesn't know how to do better, it sacks everyone who's already there and gets people in who do, which I don't think they do need to do, right? Yeah. Because they have got people who know what better looks like. So let them do it, right? We've just had a wholesale change of the board. The first, in my personal opinion, the first communication that comes out from the new chief executive is almost like the sort of communication the previous one would have done.
Yeah.
Just take out references to the stadium, put references into the charity, and it'd be the same communication. Yeah. Because it's written by the same people, right? Yeah. With the same cautious approach to narrative. Yeah. It would have been really, really powerful for the first statement from the chief exec to say nothing about the stadium and talk as being the chief exec. Talk about building bridges with the fan base, talking about getting investment in, talking about completing the stadium on time and to budget, but saying nothing more than that. Yeah. And recognising that we as a football club have underperformed over the last couple of years, but rest assured, we're doing our best. And people would have gone, well, that's quite refreshing, isn't it? Yeah. So it's a bland, nothing-y type thing, right? Now, in my professional career, it would often be stated, don't ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. It's a very old cliche. Yeah. If there's people in the organisation who know the right thing to do, don't wait for someone above you to give you the approval to do it. Just do it. Just do it. You know, if you've got in the can a goddamn interview with the director of football, which the fan base have been desperate to see since the day you walked through the door, publish it, right? Or do another one because you don't like the one you've got. Yeah.
I would have done, well, if I was in charge of Everton's media team, I'd have done the Kevin Fowler interview in 2 parts. I'd have done, the first part would have been nice little sprinkling of what he's done so far in the job.
The restructuring.
Where as a football club we are improving.
Yep.
And all that sensitive data that they don't want to talk about because there's a transfer window.
Of course.
Right there. Leave that. That's part 2.
Yes.
Leave that till when the window shuts.
Yeah, I'll see you in a month,
guys. We'll see, when the window, we'll conclude this. And you've got a thing that we were promised. Okay, maybe the fans for over-promised with that or got that slightly wrong. So don't blame the club for that. But then for an excuse to be, well, he said things that we don't want to be made public knowledge. But then don't let him. make it before you.
Apparently, he's mentioned a player.
So before you go in,
Has he?
Apparently.
so before you go in, say, right, part one. Part one is going to be how you, all the good things you've done.
Yeah, what you found when you got in. What did you have to
Tell
do?
us what was wrong. Don't be afraid. Be like the Tory government and be like, no, all those things. That wasn't us. That was the other Tories that did that. Don't worry about. We're new.
Yeah.
Come in and go. These are all the things I've done. It's been tough because I've had to do this, and obviously we brought this fella, and we've got rid of all those people. Say all the dead positive things and say, and
Not difficult, is it?
and we'll say part two. We'll be bringing out in a month's time or 6 weeks' time when the transfer window, and we'll tell you about what we've done and the challenges we face. And you know what? Just be honest with people. Just say, you know, we went for player X, but there's no way we're signing a 32-year-old when they want wages which we, as a football club, are not comfortable anymore. Because everybody knows that we used to give amazing wages, or our wage bill was this high. We don't want to do that anymore. We want to invest in young, up-and-coming players from Austria, because Baz told us, and the PIV. And that's to me. And then what you've done is you've got why have one piece of content when you can have two? Get double the views. That's always been our ethos, hasn't it? It's what pays the bills. But that nice shiny one, and then the second one you just say, right, what were the challenges?
This is what
I was with you to doing 2-bit, you know, when you started describing the second one where you're going to name players.
No, you're not naming players.
Well, even if you say X and then say he's a 32-year-old guy who ended up going to the Middle East, you know, whatever.
You wouldn't say that, John.
But I'm
just putting the point
but you know
across.
what? My little, you know, we all have our plus and minus pile, right? And we've already had some messages from people where clearly the minus pile's far heavier than the plus one, right? You've just put on my minus pile. Because you've just said, apparently he named a player. Right, Kev, they've been waiting for this for 18 months. Sit on that chair in Finch Farm. We're going to talk in a really safe environment, a safe video that we're going to put out to the fan base. And he names the player.
Well, it's just out there.
It's
It might be. I've
No,
just realised we're on YouTube. I probably shouldn't have said that.
But anyway, the point is, right, it's mad that he would do
There's
that.
a thing called Everton as well.
Yeah, you just say, clap, stop,
Don't lie.
let's do that
But
bit
it might
again.
have been a player who was at the club and isn't at the club.
No, I know, but it doesn't really
matter. So it could be
matter.
anything, couldn't it? What they mean is, quite clearly, there's a piece in there they're not happy with, and they don't want to put it out. Maybe now we're in the transfer window, right? Now we're in the transfer window, so maybe they're just going, we'll wait. So we have to wait now. So it's difficult.
His job is to buy players.
Yeah.
This is the most sensitive time.
It is, yeah.
That's the point, isn't it? The point is, these interviews shouldn't be getting done in June or July anyway.
Absolutely
They should
right.
be getting done in the season. They should be getting done when he isn't doing the work, if that makes sense. I mean, I know he's always doing the work, but this is the crunch part.
But September makes sense because the window's just shut.
The day after the season finishes, right?
Yeah.
Your director of football will come out, a bit like you said, your two-party thing. Yeah. That season wasn't what we wanted, but we're still in this division. Waffle. Right, we're all going on holiday now. I'll talk to you when I come back. And you get part two about the window will be open on this date. We know what we need, whatever. Then the window closes, and he tells you, this is how we got on.
I've got an even better
and then you
one,
go
John.
back around the loop again.
I've got an even better one.
Go for it, man.
Following round on deadline day.
Yeah.
Following round with cameras on deadline day.
GoPros on everybody.
Do you know what? It might never see the light of day.
But you've done it.
You mightn't do anything, but you've done it and you've got the content. And you know you've brought 2 or 3 in and you stick that out. Oh my God, Everton fans will be salivating. You've brought this player. Let's see how it happened. Arsenal did it. Arsenal Leeds got it completely. Sunderland made a complete mess of it, thinking they'd sign Dan James, and it still went out.
That was Leeds.
Sorry, Will.
Leeds.
It was Will Gregg at Sunderland and Dan James at Leeds.
Dan James at
right,
Leeds, yeah.
And still went out.
They had Dan James in the Leeds kit and everything.
Yeah, but you do it, don't you? You get it. You film it and you go. You sit them down and go. And there's a little bit extra. Let's see what kind of day you had on transfer deadline day, and you get Kevin Felwell
coming in,
and he comes in. He goes, right. We're trying to sign X. Let's see what.
But you can name names.
Well, you can. That's what I'm saying. I'm just saying that so I don't know it.
Yeah.
And you just say we're trying to sign X. It's 12:15. And you know what? You open it up and you show everyone what transfer, because other clubs have done it.
And people will understand.
People would love it.
And they'd actually you'd actually see the work that goes on. Whereas a lot of Evertonians will be like, what are they actually doing?
And all it is,
But it would personalise it as well.
home?
It would
all it ever
personalise it,
takes.
wouldn't it? Because you're flying the wall fella or whatever who's playing the fan would go, so what's happening, Kev? He's in a car, we're waiting. And you can see him.
You've got to wait, you know it
You
all.
can see he's waiting, and if the guy doesn't get here to sign, it doesn't happen.
John, I've said it from day one.
Theatre would be tremendous.
If you personalise people, if you
You've gotta
humanise people,
that's the word,
you're never
humanise.
ever gonna sit there going, I hate him. Because you won't hate him. It's why it took me so long to get to want to sack Roberto Martinez, because I knew the fella.
Yeah.
I knew the fella had been in his company. He was a lovely fella. And I didn't want him, whereas other people are going, get him out my phone. And it took me a while for that to happen. I mean, when it did, it went big. But it took a while because I was like, I want to give this fella a chance. And it's why football clubs should be doing more. It's why it's why when people watch, when we get a win, and people go, have you seen the tunnel video? Oh, you should have seen him, and you should have seen him. They look like us.
They're hugging each other.
And a lot of the time that gets forgotten by the next game.
It does.
But something like that, where you just following around, going, have we got it over the line? Yeah, brilliant, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what? If mistakes are made, if it never happens, you never have to put that stuff out. It just sits there on the shelf.
See, we're such a
I
big,
think it'd be a good
such
idea.
a big media team that we've got.
Oh, yeah.
I think you might almost say, we should have been doing it already. It's like putting stuff in the can for history.
And the thing
it might
about
not come
it is,
out
though,
for 5 years.
the thing
or
about
anything,
it is because it is your own staff. You know, you see when they came back from training last week and they're coming down, it's like, you're all right, or to Dom, oh, congratulations. And they're like, oh, you know, because these are the people they see every single day. They mightn't be like the busy mates, obviously.
They know them,
but they know them, don't they? They know who they are, how it's so-and-so from the media team sitting down with me, or he's following me around, blah, blah, blah. It's not like it's some fella where you know you can't see. These people are employees of Everton Football Club. If they're following you around and suddenly someone goes, how's that got out? Oh, it got out because of him. You sacked, mate. You're done. You're finished. You're finished.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Make sure you give the stream a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Thanks for everyone who's watching. Derek Houlton says, hi guys, watching on through. This is a terrific show. The club needs a good kick up the backside. Adam says, would John have gone all the ways this season, coming season, if Everton had been relegated?
Of course I would.
Yeah. Would have been some effort watching that Tross twice a week.
No, we'd be winning every week.
Evan Viking says, Baz, you sum up my feelings perfectly. Stadium's lovely and it'll be nice when it's here, but we're at such a massive risk of relegation, we can't survive. We keep circling this terrain.
Yeah, but see, can I just comment on that? Because it's come out a couple of times.
Come on.
You know, and if you don't watch and you don't know what plan the dive, the plan means, you should watch more. But whatever. Is you can't not do stuff, you know, that should be happening in parallel. You know, let's stop this one because the other one's not going so well. Do you know what I mean? And the example of that would be us standing in front of people who are still at the club actually, talking about interviewing the manager, and they said, we'll do it after game X. And we said, what happens if we lose against game X? Well, we won't, will we? Well, we did, you know, and the manager got sacked. But they kicked it down the road for no good reason other than they didn't anticipate that horrible scenario was going to happen. The same applies here. We should be building confidence and optimism and excitement around the stadium. But in parallel, we should be getting the goddamn players that keep us in the division as well, right? The thought that we would almost not push the stadium as hard as perhaps we could because we're fear that we're going to get stick because we haven't got a centre forward or we haven't got a right winger or whatever. Because if they've been pushy previously, maybe us lot, not just hospitality people, have already signed up for multi-year season ticket deals. And if we'd all signed up for multi-year season ticket deals, they'd have more money. And if they had more money, they'd be getting better players. So it all has to go to a plan, right? And it just seems that sometimes, let's hold on to that for a bit longer.
With the stadium,
because, you know.
With the stadium, like, I'd love to know I would have thought by now, I'd love to know by now where everything is.
What do you mean everything?
Where's the shop?
Oh, I see. Yeah,
where's the
things
museum?
like that, yeah.
Or where's the
do a whole host of
tour
cameos,
go?
Couldn't you?
You know, do we not have an internal video of all these things? You know, to get people who are like, I don't care about the stadium. Well, I want to give you something to care about. Like last week when we went to see it again gave you that different layer, didn't it? Of God, this all looks great. So you get that little bit of excitement. So it's like, you know, just those tidbits of like being told how much the fan park's going to hold and the fact that it's staying open after the game and stuff like that.
None of that's innovative, is it?
But it's just start like
Makes it real.
Start drip feeding that into the fan base. So they're like, God, I can't wait. But it's that thing of like, oh, I don't want to put too much expectation on. What are you going to have? What's the shop going to have? What's it going to have in it? What's the cafes? What's the stuff that's open?
Concessions,
they're all easy wins, aren't
exactly. On a non-match day, will we be able to go down to the stadium and just go right
But
up
when
to
you
it?
just said
you know,
just
all
then,
these things, of course you will, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I agree.
You just said then it makes it more real. The most real thing for me is where am I going to be sat? Or at least when will I know that I can choose where I'm going to be sat? Oh, we're going to go with PEDs. We're only going to have 32,000 season ticket holders in the first season, whatever, right? Or are we going to have 42,000? Or we're going to have whatever. But and an outline view of how we're going to get to choose which stands we're in. You know, I'll lay it down right now. If everyone in the Gladys Street wants to go in the South Stand, then they should all go in. But that'll leave seats left, won't it? Because that stand, the South Stand, is bigger than the Gladys Street, upper and lower put together, right? So then you want to say, well, how does the next choice go round for that? You know what I mean? And then the people like you're one. You're in the upper Bullens. Well, if you get a comparable seat, it's going to be slap bang in the middle of some of the most expensive seats in the stadium.
we got told last week you can have a seat anywhere you want. Anywhere you want.
Yeah.
So Baz, it's not. No, but it's not comparable. What I mean is that with Baz will be able to sit wherever he wants.
But comparable for him would be, I think, the East Stand, looking at, sort of on the halfway line, looking towards
The water.
the water, right? And if that's £5,000,
Will it? Hang on, fam.
Yeah, it will be. It's East Stand.
Yeah.
No, I know, but
You're looking west.
I'm thinking of Goodison.
You're looking west.
Yeah, so where's the South Stand?
South Stand's the one that goes to the south. The best part of
on
the
your
city.
left, it'll be.
No, I know on my left.
On your left.
That isn't to me comparable, is it? Because the Gladys Street's on my
No,
left.
can't have
they've
that,
moved
though.
it the wrong way round.
But you can't have that.
No, I
can you?
know, I'm just saying.
So your reference point
Maybe me sitting
is
there
where
with the
the ball
Gladys
sits.
Street to the left on the South
Like
Stand
Beyonce.
will bring Everton something different. Bit of luck.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
But you see what I mean?
No, I understand what you... Listen, it's all for
But
everyone.
instead, we've had the club tell us that they're going to start that consultation. And when they told us, is it already in the past? So it's another, let's call it a promise that's been in God.
Pinky promise.
But let's think about plays. Ashley Young is...
Do we have to?
Has he bloody told? Have they told us yet?
No, but he's in.
No.
By all accounts, he's in
He'll be there.
Switzerland, right?
His kit.
With his kit, doing the Everton
Number
TV
18.
interview. Number 18 or whatever. How excited he is and all that. I've said it a few times.
Did you say his number then?
And we said he's going to be 18. Everton haven't got an 18. He loves that number.
Oh, right,
I
okay.
imagine he'll be 18.
Is that because he such respect for?
Because he loves
level?
it. Just because he loves it. Right? Like I said before, if he was number 4, 5
I said that
on the
yesterday.
list, well, it's
We
chronologically.
did, yeah.
isn't
We're
it?
all joined up on that one.
I think he'd have been received a little bit better. It's still, there's no, for me, the way I look at it, and I might be wrong, but just my view and how I put it together in my head is that we are kind of where we are. Do I like where we are? No. I'd rather we had 250 million to spend this summer and we were getting exotic players and I was sitting there and Zach's going to me, oh Dad, can I have his name on my kit and all. Instead of me, when I bought his kit last week for a stupid amount of money, I was like, mate, don't get anyone. There's no one worth having. Don't get anyone. And anyone is, they'll get off. So don't, right? So we haven't got it. I want to be there going, oh, what about him now? Oh, what about having him on the back of the shirt? Yeah. We haven't. We're where we are. So we've got a little bit of money, clearly, because otherwise we'd have players in. Because if money's almost...
I don't think you can make that leap.
If money's clearly not an object, right? Then every manager in the world, and everyone I've ever spoke to who has been involved in football, works in football, and some managers have all said, give me the choice, I'll have my players all in by day one of pre-season.
Definitely.
Right? So there's a reason why Everton don't have anybody in, and we're already in the second week of pre-season. So it must be money, in my opinion. My opinion, like I said before. Right? So I'd love that, a world where Everton already had 3 players signed before pre-season started. Liverpool had 2 in before they kicked the ball, right? And all that. Tottenham have got 5 in so far. Clubs like that.
Other
Chelsea,
clubs have got none like
right?
us.
But I'm talking about Everton.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we aren't. So we've obviously got a small amount of money. Fine, that's where we are. We have to deal with that. So people like Ashley Young, to me, who can do 3 positions, you just kind of go, yeah, okay, all right. He comes in. he can do his job, vastly experienced, obviously quite fit. Like, who's the next one then? Who's the one that is going to get me a little bit excited? Who is this kind of player?
Got the right age profile, right ceiling, all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
because that
Right position.
I think that's how we have to do it.
Attacking player.
Don't we?
No,
I think
agree.
that's how we have to mentally. Well, that's how I have to anyway. How do you view it?
Which all of that?
Either of you,
Well,
Ashley Young and players of that ilk.
it's an okay decision. It's not going to excite anybody, right? That's it. It's an okay decision. But then I also don't automatically. Sorry, I'm not being stupid. I know we're tight on money and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think you just say, my view, that we haven't brought them in because we haven't got much money. Because other clubs who don't have the financial restrictions that we've got also haven't brought players in, right?
No, but it's an issue, isn't it? Because Newcastle have come out today and said once they sign Harvey Barnes,
that's it.
they're at their limits. They can't sign anyone.
well,
And the only way
that.
they could bring another player in
Letting someone go out.
is, and what they've actually said is they may already have to sell someone before they can get Harvey
that's how
Barnes.
to engage
This is
with your fan base,
Newcastle
isn't
with
it?
600
That's how to
billion
engage with
to
your fan
their
base,
name.
isn't it?
Yeah, because the rules are there.
Set expectation. Let them understand that it isn't as easy as that.
So for Everton then, right? And I had a conversation with someone close to the club last week who wants to, well, what can we say though with that thing of we're damned if we do, we're damned if we don't. How do Everton manage that expectation without saying we've got no? Or is it better? But I'm asking you.
We've just said it before. Kevin Felwell, have you done an interview
months ago,
specifying last month?
They're saying what money's tight.
We're not stupid. We've seen the books.
I'm saying.
I know, but this is the point, though, isn't it? We're not stupid. We have people like John Blain. We have people like the Esk that go through the books like meticulously and tell you the ins and outs of.
Others are available.
No, but I'm sure there are. But they're obviously the two that spring to mind. The people who do the hard work for us, and you've got like people like Kieran Maguire and people like that who go through the books. The Swiss Ramble who go through the books. We're not stupid. We all know the situation. As a football club, front it and go, right, everyone knows the situation with the P&L and we have to be clever how we do things. That'll mean players who are surplus to requirements will leave the club if we get a good enough offer for them. Again, so you can say, well, we haven't had enough offers yet, so therefore we haven't generated enough money yet on the back of the money we've already got. And then you're telling people, you are setting that expectation rather than just, like you've said it a few times, what do people expect? Well, tell people what to expect in a way then. There's not going to be you've mentioned Newcastle. Newcastle, what a very intelligent thing to do. Because they've set expectations.
They've diffused it.
But also at the same time, it gives them bargaining power when they do go and try and buy a player, because they haven't gone, we've got loads of money. So
no, we haven't.
If Everton say, things are difficult, but you put the obvious things out there. We finished 17th, so we didn't generate a lot of money from the Premier League. You know, our sponsors are amazing because
Can't say that.
No, I'm not going to say that. What I'm saying is we don't generate lots of.
We have to live within our means.
Goodison Park. No, but John, you know this. You say, why are we moving? Because Goodison Park doesn't generate a lot of money. So therefore, when we do move, we should generate more money. But in the meantime, things are tough. There are restrictions in place, and you just tell people it's going to be difficult. So when Ashley Young does sign, you can say to everyone, do you know what? This is a smart signing. This is a 38-year-old.
He's been doing it all
lots of experience.
You've told them the narrative.
Has won
multiple positions.
Won nearly every trophy in this country.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's only the Champions League. I think he's won everything else in this country.
I'll check for you.
So you say dead experience, can play in four. We went through to the day, me and Jack. No, the only position he's never played in, goal.
Yes,
in goal. The only position never played. You sell it and say this is smart business as a football club where we are right now, because you've already talked to people instead of trying to see. This is my real issue with Everton, right? And I've said this since we've been doing this since day one. We've been doing this. Is like, if you engage with people who already know, then you're halfway there. Like, we all know all this stuff.
Yeah.
There are lots of experts who can go through all the books. Everything is transparent. in a way, isn't it? All the books are there. Of course, there's other stuff that isn't, but everything's transparent. We know everything that goes on. And yet they still try and keep us in the dark on stuff we know about. It's mad. I don't understand why any football club tries to keep its fans in the dark about stuff. I understand about negotiations. I understand you don't want to go, well, we're after this player because so-and-so. I understand the plausible deniability of not telling and you not telling, so you don't. But there's still a thing of like, we're limited. So we mightn't be limited. We might have loads of money. But you don't open the door to people, do you? And say, oh, this is how much money we've got. Because that person will go, can I have it all
Part
then?
of the challenges, and we've talked about this on the channel before, is that a director of football, for example, walks through the door. Same with a manager. And it appears, based on history, that neither of them thought that part of their job was to talk to the fan base.
Yeah.
And therefore, the in-house PR guys, we call them that, the media chaps, can't just rock up to the director of football every Thursday morning at 10 o'clock like they always do and talk to him for an hour and then push the content out, because they have to ask his permission and they probably have to ask somebody else's permission. And before you know, it's too much like hard work and it just never happens.
Yeah.
So you've got this structural thing it's all, in quotes, wrong. Now, the joy of it is, and we talk about on the channel about changing perception is easier than changing fact, right? Leadership, right? Decisive leadership inside our football club with a commitment to engage with the key stakeholder called the fans, overnight would change perception. Overnight. The creativity in the media guys could be exploited. Their ability to do what he said would be exploited, and so on and so on.
There's also a path for revenue here as well.
Of course there is.
Right.
Yeah.
If you have a channel that you pay £2 a month for, from Everton, and on that Everton guarantee every week the manager, the captain, the director of football, and more play.
Start of the last game.
Every day,
there's a different player.
There's a different player coming off the pitch at Finch Farm live, and you're paying £2 for it. I guarantee it will generate. If you have loads of access, behind the scenes access,
of course,
it will generate money.
From non-Everton fans as well.
But for nothing, no, that's out of nothing. Yeah. That is money for
just
nothing.
To be in there.
That's for money for some lad sticking a camera. And when these people come to our club, we go, you understand that, you have to do this.
This is part of it.
This is part of the remit. I've told you loads.
No, that image rights bonus we give you.
There's literally,
this is one of the reasons.
Paris Saint-Germain literally have a thing where when they come off the training pitch, they have to go through this thing, and a girl standing with a camera and she goes live on everything.
They should have a mix-up type thing.
Yeah, they do. And they look, the manager last year, he looked dead uncomfortable, maybe for other reasons, but he looked dead uncomfortable, but he had to do it because he's at a huge football club that wants to project its image all around the world and not be like, oh, what's going on? Like, sell the narrative to people. I can't stress how many times I have to say this.
We've said this before.
Oh my God.
Danny says what we have here, gentlemen, is a failure to communicate.
Absolutely spot on. And we've said on here, and you've just done it again, right? And I'll say what we've said.
The BBC are communicating.
The first Premier League club to embrace this new world.
Yeah.
And let's call it fan media, if you want to call it that, i.e. instant demand for stuff all the time and live, will clean up as a first mover. Because can you imagine, and someone's just bloody done something in training which is going to be quite fun for fans to know about, and he happens to pick up his can of Coke to drink, product placement, the whole bloody 9 yards, right? Have they told us who it is?
Yeah.
All right, okay. Who is it then?
We know who it is. We know who it is, John.
He should have told himself anyway, shouldn't he? But yeah, but hey, they know all this, so the challenge for the football club to have amongst themselves is why they can't act upon it.
Especially in a world that is dominated by the big clubs.
Yeah, absolutely.
The lesser clubs have to create this themselves, and when they do create it and they do get a great piece of content, share that nice piece of content with the likes of Sky, and especially at a time like this, where you go, oh my God, look what they've done! Look what brilliant stuff's happened at training.
Yeah.
If someone had filmed if someone had filmed that clip of the lightning at the training ground, oh, it's been lightning at Everton training, and you like, and they'll show that.
Yeah. Chris Byrne says, hey guys, hopefully the Premier night was boss for you all. Sorry, couldn't make it, couldn't get off work. Yeah, it was very good. It says Everton need to at least give us something to feel optimistic about next season, because this horrendous starvation of literally anything to latch onto is just depressing.
Yeah.
Martin says nothing would beat that live deadline day show you guys did in January. Funniest thing I've watched in ages. Michael Wood says, with the idea of filming a video with Thelwell in June, for example, you could also use that video to put out a narrative on transfers. Money is tight, but we'll see what we can do.
Yeah.
Even if you've got a war chest to keep player valuations down, put out to the press that you're skint, even though we are. Keep expectations low, then overperform. Nathan says on Kevin Thelwell, in NFL, general managers, the equivalent to a doff, do loads of interviews talking about the process of team building and the inside stuff. Yeah. Honestly, NFL is miles ahead of the Prem in terms of giving the fans what they want.
That's right.
It's a TV
The
sport.
age of secrecy is over.
Of course it is. We know everything about everyone now.
Yeah.
Clive Long says, how's the arm, John?
It's getting better. Yeah. Go and see the surgeon tomorrow.
Danny says, is it money, Baz, or is it that the club is a flipping car crash? I'd go with the latter. And Carl says, we're rightly focusing and worried about the need for striking reinforcements because of the lack of options up front. But I am now equally concerned about our defence, having lost 2 of our 3 best centre-backs in Mina and Cody. I know Brantwaite's coming back, but I'd really hope we buy another decent, reliable centre-back. For me, Keane and Godfrey shouldn't be anywhere near the squad. I've seen a thing yesterday saying Reece Welch is desperate to get out on loan because he obviously realises he's not going to play, isn't he? This season, being a young lad and all that. And he hasn't had the loan yet. He needs to be playing in the league and getting elbowed in the face and all that you come up against, like League 2, League 1 strikers.
Could say to a Dutch club, you like the last bloke, try this one.
Try this one, because he's a ball-playing centre-back. It's whether he hasn't had any first-team experience at any level, has he really? You know, he played for us at Fleetwood in the Cup, didn't he, come on last season? He's had nothing really since then. So it's who would give him it. MK Dons wanted him in January and he was going. That fell through at the 12th hour. So, and they're interested in him again. So I wonder if he will end up going there, or whether he'll go abroad.
But if he wants to go on loan, he should have gone out on loan yesterday, shouldn't he? So he can be a part of all.
Well, I always think that when I look,
the Football League's ahead of Premier, so
I always think if you're going to go on loan and you're at a club like Everton, they'll know. Surely they know right now whether they're going to gamble on him. So they're going to look, and Sean Dyche is going to go, well, he's never played a 13 game really for anyone. I'm not going to use him if we have to, unless we really don't have another centre back. And if that's the case, then you get him out on loan so he can get into his club and start afresh with everyone. So hopefully they'll make it. I imagine they'll make that decision at the end of the week. Yeah. And I think he might join someone on loan next week and let him off.
So he needs an EFL run up, doesn't he?
Yeah, basically. Well, I mean, where are we on centre back? Do you think we need another centre back? Holgate didn't go to Switzerland. I know they're saying, we might have a little bit of but he's talking to Southampton and talking to Sheffield United.
So he's going to want
So I think he's going to go.
So he's going as well.
So we'll go out the door. Michael Keane, I imagine, will stay. Yeah. And be a third or fourth choice centre-back on big money. But
so 2 or 3 ahead of him are Brantwaite,
Tarkowski, Godfrey, I think are all ahead of him and have to be all ahead of him. So are we...
I'd like to have another one.
You'd think another one as well. In what age group?
Godfrey's not good enough. Keane's not good enough.
But you don't want
a kid.
But you don't want 5, do you? Or do you?
Well, we had 7 centre-backs.
No, I'd like 4, but...
But you've got to move people out then, haven't you?
But do you think, if Holgate goes, which he will, then that potentially frees up a space, doesn't it? Because Everton will have lost 3 centre-backs from last season.
Depends how many you think you need. Branch?
Yeah.
Brand would say 2 for each position, wouldn't he? So 2 centre-backs means you need 4. And we have 4. But this man rightly perhaps says, well, Godfrey's not good enough. So you need to find someone better than Godfrey.
Yeah.
And then send Godfrey out.
I think he's got different attributes than Michael Keane, as in he's fast.
Yeah.
And he's strong.
Yeah, and that's why I would keep
Michael
it.
Keane's better in the air.
But that's why I'd keep Godfrey, because he's the one with
the pace,
genuine pace, and in theory could do a job in other positions as well.
It will be interesting to see, because what they might do is they might use one of the loan slots on a centre back, and see how Branthwaite goes, mightn't he? I mean, people at King Hoddle, obviously a Spurs fan, says buy Tanganga or Rodon from us. What about a loan? Spurs, don't be too hard. Don't make a decision too quickly on those centre backs. Give them on loan while you evaluate, and that would be Tanganga's. He's got loads of potential, and always a little bit, but he's got pace as well, and he's strong, isn't he? But it'll be interesting to see whether
should load the loans up.
Well, we've got 4 loan spots, haven't we?
Yeah.
Can we use 4?
So each of the positions you think you want to fulfil, try and have a loanee in one of those as well. I mean, a straight loan where the default is they're going back from where they came from.
Yeah. Well, in that case, more likely you'd gonna have a younger. So
that's what I mean. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you'd love someone like Colwell, but he'd had Huddersfield, and then he went to Brighton. Now Liverpool and Brighton are arguing over him, and Chelsea are trying to keep him.
Ben Mee.
But someone, Ben Mee, he's quite happy at Brentford. But someone like that, who was at a bigger club than Everton currently are, but is on the thing. But you think we could actually use him as?
But this would all be in the plan, wouldn't it?
You know what I mean? Listen, Everton. I'm quite sure Everton. Well, I would like to think Everton do have that in mind, but there's no. See, this is the thing. I want to believe that they've got all these things, but there's no bleeding evidence, is there?
Because it comes back to decisive leadership. It will always come back to that. If you've got your paper plan, then your paper plan will have some priorities on it, won't it? And there'll be priorities overall, then there'll be priorities within positions. So if your first...
What about offering Yerry Mina 20 grand a week to come back?
But if your first choice or preference, whatever, for a particular position is stringing you along, when do you pull the plug and take your second choice now?
That's a difficult one,
and I think
isn't
historically, when we've ended up at the end of windows, you think, well, if you had, say, a first and second choice for each thing you were going for, and you got neither of them, did you not get the second one because you waited too long for the first one? Or was it just fantasy in the first place, And that goes back to what you were saying at lunchtime. You've got to be able to get them to at least a rump of what you're aiming for through the door, but of course it takes 2 to tango. And that's what I was saying, we're doing the domino thing. We can be critical of our club, but if we've got a deal in principle already done for a particular position, but the selling club in quotes is saying, well, we need to get our replacement, and we're waiting on them, and he's on holiday. Right. And that's what would come out in your little documentary, wouldn't it? It'd be Kevin head in hands going,
be careful, looking amazing.
The player wants to be here. We've done everything. We're just waiting on this. Just waiting on that. And that's when you have all those theatrical things that players sat outside football clubs in cars and all sorts of things.
In the Asda.
Yeah, in the Asda.
Just waiting. Tony Miguel says, welcome back to the 18. Not to say your other guests aren't good, thoroughly enjoyed them all. John's show, the 2 studio guests, was excellent. It was, however, a reminder how official positions seem to almost disregard the fan base and treat them like mushrooms. I say almost because they do appear to take the unwavering support of the fans of the club for granted, and that does require a fleeting thought. This in the day and age when many companies spend a fortune on understanding their customer base. The sad state of affairs, as it's difficult to have faith in the current people coming up with a change for the better. And as you guys have said, as it stands, there isn't much hope for change in that respect with outside investment and involvement. Outside investment and involvement.
That's really good, that.
Signing a really good striker would lift spirits for sure.
That's really good, that. Because the difference between, say, you as an Everton fan and a retail business or a media company or whatever, who have to retain customers once they've got them, is it's not competitive. No. You don't wake up every season and think, shall I be a Liverpool fan? Shall I be an Everton fan? I'll be a Liverpool one.
Yeah.
So we don't have that choice, but we do have choice about whether we spend money or not.
Yeah.
Right? And there would have been days in the past where some people would have bought everything that was available. Now they don't. So you've still got to treat people right, because it's unwavering that I will always be an Everton fan, but it's not necessarily unwavering that I'll always go to live games. And I say this often. I spend more money going to away games than I do to home games. So why isn't everyone trying to get me to spend that money with Everton rather than spending it with the other 19 football clubs?
Yeah.
And helping people understand that is really important, but no one does it.
What's great?
I went
Thanks,
in the
Beryl,
club.
by the
I
way.
went in the club shop on Saturday, and I
Which
wasn't.
one? Oh, the one
in town.
The one in
I'm
Liverpool.
tempted for 1 second to put my hand on my.
There you go. There you go.
There's nothing in there
There
bar the
you
new
go.
kit. There's no training gear. There's no anything. Went upstairs. They've got new lights, so fair play to them. I wasn't for 1 second tempted to put my hand in my pocket because
Did anyone ask you what you were looking for?
No, but I know my missus was fuming because they had all the men's gear and it said men's kit, men's kit, men's kit, men's kit, men's kit, men's kit, men's kit. Then there was these 2 shirts unmarked and they were the women's kits. It was like, so you've got all these kits that say men on them and you've got nothing that says these are women. So she was fuming about that. Yeah. But there's nothing in there. But there was nothing in there I'd even think about buying because I was just like, I don't really want to give Everton any money at the moment. Thanks very much.
No skin for your new PS5 then?
No.
Was there nothing there?
Oh, it's all shite.
Was there anything?
Oh, it's all
decent? No.
shite. Can I just, this is a direct plea to fanatics, make something that's actually good, because it's all shite. No training gear, which I'd buy.
I know you'd
I'd
buy
buy.
the training gear.
I'd buy the training gear.
Training gear's nice, actually. It's what I see.
I like polo shirts.
There's nothing. It's crap upstairs. It's just as, like, nothing. It's awful. And Everton fans, they'll buy anything.
Steve Peace says if Tarkovsky got injured, we'd be in serious trouble. We
No, we
definitely need another centre-back. Would be Alexander Joku on a free for me. Yeah, Steve, we do it every day, mate, don't we? There's players out there. I don't understand how Everton are looking at it and how Everton do look at it. They may be going through all this and they might have ducks in a row. I don't know. It's just, I understand people going, well, I don't trust them because there's no evidence. And Kevin Felwell hasn't got anything in the bank, really. Even though last summer I thought in general Everton done all right in the transfer market. There was a big hole, as in a centre forward who was over 6 foot and could move. That was the big hole. But if you go through it, done this the other day with Mike was telling me last year wasn't very good. I was like, well, Onana was a decent signing. We'll make money on him, and he was okay. He could have been better, but he was decent. Garner was a success. James Garner, well, he was injured, but looks like a good player. He's just had a great under-21s. Yeah. Tarkovsky was a big success. Was excellent. Cody was a success, I thought, for a loan.
On balance.
Yeah. Finished. He dropped off a little bit, but in general, I thought he was decent.
On balance. Yeah.
Okay, Vinagre was a fail. Was a big fail. Yeah. McNeil was a success in the end.
Yeah.
First half of the season, really bad. Second half was really good. And Maupay was a fail, wasn't it?
Yeah, totally.
We brought 8 players in, so we basically had six out of 8, wasn't it? Maupay didn't happen, and
the next window,
really,
people went out the door.
And we could have done then the next window. We should have got someone in. Had they got a striker in and Dan Zuma, I think people would have gone, all right, we can cope with that.
Yeah.
So all eyes are on him again now, and it's not just him, of course. He's trying to do, spinning plates, and that's what people are telling you is happening. He's having to do these deals where
that's what he's paid for.
No, I'm not bleating for him. Far from it, because for me, Kevin Felwell is the person I want setting up all my coaching stuff. But I think looking at players and identifying players, I think I'd trust Marcel Brands more.
Yeah.
But then was he stopped by? But I wasn't impressed with Marcel Brands. Yeah. You need a strong director of football. But Everton, do they use the model correctly? I want someone who like Ralph Rangnick, who for so many years was good at identifying players and setting things up. Okay, man had the GOAT management at United that didn't quite work.
Absolutely.
But,
But this man said it before when you're talking about all the media stuff, and it's, and particularly when you're talking about NFL, right? And you're saying it's a TV sport sort of thing. You wouldn't appoint to an NFL franchise a general manager who wasn't comfortable in front of the camera.
No. Yeah. That'd be one of the first requirements.
Couldn't talk about what he does in the back room. And I would also say, people who negotiate contracts, who do the hard yards, the who blinks first, all that sort of stuff. I've never met one yet who's very, very successful at it. And maybe it's just the industries I worked in. Who was a shy, reserved person.
No,
They're all cocky bleeders with big gobs who know their subject and want to play the win-lose game, you know?
Yeah.
Who will play brinkmanship, because it's like playing poker, isn't it? It's all part of playing the person as much as anything else, right?
Absolutely.
And they're very demanding as well. So they want the things that contribute to the deal happening. Like, did you show him round? Did you show his missus what lovely house she can have? What about this? What about that? What about... Because you want all of it to coalesce around this moment. And you say, there you go, Dan boy, sign there.
It, yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I'm happy. The missus is happy. The kids are happy. Done.
Off we go.
Right?
It's got to be like that, though, hasn't it?
You know, and I just, I just guessed the very best at it do that. And
Got to be to sell your club, haven't you?
Yeah.
Marcel Brand's same thing. We're going to look after your boy. We never. But, you know, stuff like that, innit? We will look after your son and all that kind of thing. We won't leave him.
And when he said that, I bet you he had an insight based on what had been told by the people who were
Yeah,
looking
course.
after what they were going to do.
Course,
and one concludes they didn't do it for some reason.
No, but I bet you when he said that, he knew that maybe that player's mother was a little bit worried about the
And she might stop it
situation.
happening and all that,
or just
And he
the
promised it.
details, isn't
And that
it?
probably
And he
would have been
promised
his
it.
intention, but he was let down by managers.
Always.
But it's always the details,
You
isn't
went.
it?
Revolving door thing, yeah. As
And
well.
then you get Rafa Benitez, who come in and should have really gone, this fella's just
been
banged
going on for
18
years.
goals in and scored in the new camp. He's actually going to be my centre forward with Dom. And with Richie, they're going to be my front three. And everyone else can play around them. That's what he should have done with Moise Keane. He
How
didn't.
exciting
He
would
just
that have
went early on. No, I'm not interested. Same with James. Now, all right, Everton, whether we could have afforded James for another season, maybe we could have done and just sucked it up and got rid of a couple of others. But telling him day one, nah, mate, you're going to get another club, you're not for me, when he's like ready to go. When you look around that side and go, he's probably like one of the most creative players. I probably need him to win.
That's where the organisation has to kick in and say, you know what, manager, before you accept the job, here's some givens, right? That player is here till the end of the season. He's going to cost us money. We think he's good enough. If you don't, maybe you're the wrong guy for this job, right?
Everton don't appear to do that. Whether
Well,
they
the
do.
owner didn't, did he?
Well, no, exactly. The last few before we finish. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. Thank
That
you
makes a
very
difference,
much.
doesn't it?
Massively. Caesar says, which player has left this summer are you guys going to miss the most? Easy for me,
Yerry, yeah.
Pedal missed the
Liar.
song.
You little
No,
liar.
he did. He loves some.
Now, yeah. Now
Good
he's
lad.
got.
I think he liked him anyway. He's a boss lad, isn't he? Whether he's good enough to be in Everton's midfield
No, he's a cracking bloke.
is a thing, a different story.
Martinez was a cracking bloke, wasn't he?
Danny says, I was home last year when the away kits were released. I took my 3-year-old in to get him a kit. Staff told me little kids' kits are not available for another few weeks. It's like they hate money.
It is like they hate money.
It is
It's a
weird.
really good way to say it, mate. Yeah.
It is.
Weird.
It is.
I just find, what I find really stretched at it before, and I'm probably boring everyone again, but just do the easy things. That are easy wins.
Yeah.
Do them. If you ask, right, is every kit available on the 30th of June? No, everything won't be available till the 6th of July. Like 6th of July is the release date then, when everything's there. Not, oh, it won't be available yet for a couple. Why isn't it available?
Do they still do that pre-order thing?
I don't know.
Pre-order is a good way to test whether people want the damn thing, isn't it? Yeah.
I just don't like that. I don't understand it. Tommy says this mismanagement all started with Steve Walsh, was made head of football when all he was a top scout. We should have seen what was coming.
I think he was more like a lucky scout than a top scout.
Well, I think what he was good at was identify. You know, we've people give Steve Walsh, and I'll still give him stick for looking great in Italy with the shades on and a briefcase with his like Greg's in it, and was offered all kinds of players, and we come back with none. And so two of them with Brozovic wanted to join us, and he walked out the room when we had money. There was no constraints. We had all the money.
So it wasn't money then.
So right. But he also did get people like Vlasic, who we made money on, Lookman, who we made money on, Henry Onyekuru, who we made money on. You know, we got those kind of players in, and they were the talent. He would have been great as Everton's chief scout, or maybe head of recruitment, but with the director of football above him. He was a fella who didn't have a clue about being a director of football. He was a scout, part coach. And we went, there's the keys to the thing. You're supposed to do all of this stuff, and he didn't have a clue what he was doing. And don't forget, he was third choice that summer. Wanted Monchi.
Yep.
Battled like anything to get Monchi.
Yep.
They wouldn't let him go. Went for Brands. Brands
sort of.
wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
And then ended up at Steve Walsh's door. And Koeman was already in.
And then when you finally get Brands, you don't let him do the job.
No.
Crazy, isn't it?
Anyway, like last couple, Al Clark says, would you take Mikel Antonio? Nope, not a no from me.
No.
Been a no from me for this whole career, but...
No.
No, okay.
No comment from you, boy.
He likes Antonio.
He scores goals.
To the Orifice, scores 4 a season, but yeah. To the Orifice says, Big Yerry, he'll miss. Caesar says, yeah, King Gerald, I'll miss him. Cameron says, would you take a punt on Emmanuel Dennis from Forest?
No.
Not now, I think the money. Bobby says, in the 80s, I couldn't get a shirt off the shelf. 40 years later, nothing has changed. For probably very different reasons, though, isn't it, Bobby? Now there should be more than enough stock, and it should be so easy, the internet and everything. Whereas then, obviously, you had to go in the little shop, which was under the main stand. And they had 12 shirts.
You have to go in the little shop now.
Yeah.
The best...
Our shop's tiny.
It was all right the other day.
The best statement on it,
buying a
right,
kid.
so far
Yeah.
is the guy who said something about they don't want our money.
No,
right?
they hate it.
There's still so many dads and with lads who will buy whatever comes out as soon as it comes out if you make it easier for them to do just that. Yeah.
Do you know that when Amazon went to one-click purchases, their sales went up by $300 million a year?
It would, yeah.
Before that, you had to do 3 different steps.
The impulsive buy
Four
bit needs to be
steps
just
to
fine.
buy it.
Yeah.
When Amazon went to one-click purchase, 300 million increase, and it's gone 300 million every year.
Yeah, yeah.
Up, not 300 million stayed, and the next year, and the next, because an Everton go, ooh, 3, oh no, I know I've took your money, but no, not yet, not yet. Run round the shop 8 times and count to 11.
Hang on, what happens when they send you something that doesn't fit you?
20 quid to send
And
it
they
back.
want you to
And
send
you
it
have to
back,
pay.
and because you can't go to the shop?
I've told you this before. I went in with a shirt that we bought for our nephew, and it was the wrong size. And I went in and went, listen, the shorts and socks are fine, right? But the shirt is, which they didn't have in the shop, so we had to order it online. Like, the shirt was too small, but they had the next size on the rack, about 50 of them. So I said, can I just swap that for that size there? No, you have to send it back. We can't do that.
That's ridiculous.
Well, but you've got a rack full of them, and there's a kit I'm giving. It's a shirt. It was unopened. It was too small. We knew when we took it out, it wasn't going to fit. No, you have to send it back.
That's ridiculous.
£8 to send it back or something.
Ridiculous.
It was like,
why don't you just have a mechanism, the stuff when they get stuff in, that they have a return thing, so you just go in and go, and they go, we can't take it in the shop, so but we have a returns policy.
We'll return it for you, yeah.
So you don't have to pay
So you can do that, and you can buy it in the shop.
Man in a van drives to Manchester and takes them all back.
It is that stuff. Whoever said it before, I can find it, but they hate it. Is like they hate money. Like the last 2, and then we're done. I know. Jez says match day in Everton are only here now as a consequence of a good day out on the pitch. Can't remember when it was the other way round. Gary Mack says, are you sure it's Wigan Everton, Saturday the 22nd of July at 2 p.m? My lad's got us tickets for Tranmere, the same date and time. Well, isn't the Tranmere game off?
No.
Someone said that's been cancelled.
Someone's an idiot.
We've got 2 games.
Everton are definitely playing Wigan on the 22nd at 2 o'clock.
It's an Everton
11.
It was an Everton 11 at Tranmere.
It is an Everton 11 at Tranmere.
Yeah, there's 2 games on the same day.
So there you go. Truth the Orifice says you're all excited for Oppenheimer.
Yeah. What about it?
Are you going to watch it?
Of course I want to watch it.
Said, are you excited for it?
Are you excited?
I have no clue what it is.
No idea what. You're going to see Barbie, that's why.
Stacked in behind us.
You've already got your tickets for Barbie.
What's
that's
Oppenheimer?
Why. It's a film about Oppenheimer.
You know about
The man behind the Manhattan Project. You know the Manhattan Project, isn't it? Don't you? Come on, Baz.
cinema one unless
Oh,
you
you're
watch it
history,
on
don't you?
Sky
Go
Store
watch
instead.
that nonsense.
You do it at home
They're
these days.
joyful. It's honest. They're joyful. Won the
Nonsense.
war.
Greg says, love the show. And Al Clark says, great played midfield for Jamaica. Last game, had an assist, pass taking out 4 defenders. And that's why he's going
To be
for...
fair, though, the defenders he
25.
got past, Ned could get past. Especially
good.
now in his new glasses.
It's good, he's doing well. I've seen
Ned's
a
new
thing.
glasses.
I've seen a thing there that West Ham are interested in Alex Iwobi.
Go for it. Apparently there's teams in Italy who are interested in him.
Moyes wants him.
15 million is yours.
I think they're saying 20
Right, 20.
off West Ham. Wants to go back to London.
20,
There you go. There's your dominoes and your spinning plates, you know.
So
20 and a bag of balls.
we'll see what happens, eh?
Be bold.
We will
just say
see
yes and let
what
it go.
happens. Right, hit the like button, subscribe anyway. Thanks for everyone for joining us. We'll be back at 1 o'clock tomorrow for the Daily Live. Have a great night. See you later.
Fan David O's. Take care.